Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last leg of Steelment Events webinar series, Engage. At the outset, I would like to thank our sponsors, Tata Steel, NMDC, and Runta Steels. The topic for this session is, will India face a power crisis similar to China? I'm Rohan Baid, and with us is Captain Pawan Kumar. He's head coal sourcing and shipping, SCMB Energy India Limited. Good morning, Captain Kumar, and welcome to our webinar. Do you have any opening comments for us, Captain Kumar?
Sir, it's on mute.
Yeah. Good morning, Rohan, and good morning, everyone. It is a warm welcome to all the guests who have joined us. And we'll try to keep this session as interactive as possible through the virtual way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, to set the context, I will be giving a brief presentation on the topic at hand, post which we will be asking Captain Pawan Kumar a few questions. Meanwhile, all the participants can send us their questions in the Q&A box. Don't forget to mention your name and your company's name. I'll be sharing my screen now. The first chart in the slide indicates the steep fall in coal stocks at power plants as coal inventories plunged to a 3-year low, with stock sufficient for 4 days of power generation. Power plants were earlier slack in procuring coal, and a sudden rise in electricity demand are said to be the major factors contributing to this current shortage. As on 17th October 2021, 122 power plants out of the 135 being monitored by the CEA have coal stock levels for less than 9 days, as indicated in the pie chart. Also, we can see that 74 of these have 3 or lesser days of coal stock. Moving on to the next slide, in the first chart, we can see how the demand for power improved from a negative growth when COVID initially hit India to robust demand seen post-relaxation of lockdown restrictions. Power demand has been on a recovery mode with pickup in industrial and commercial activity. Meanwhile, the second chart shows the source-wise generation and growing dependence on coal. More coal was burnt at the thermal plants to offset lower generation from nuclear and hydro. Share of coal in the energy mix increased from 63% in 2020 to 67% in 2021. Although demand is set to ease with the onset of the winter season, but a steep fall in consumption is unlikely during the festive period. Moving on to the next slide, we can see that from the first chart, the slow progress made in raising coal supply to the power plants. CIL failed in raising its supplies, hindered largely due to the monsoons. There was little assistance from SCCL and other captive mines in expanding coal availability. Imports also fell on high global thermal coal prices. Non-coking coal imports had averaged 15 million tons per month prior to May 2021. However, as thermal coal prices soared, imports came off to a mere 8 to 9 million tons per month. This added more pressure on domestic coal procurement. On its part, CIL posted an improvement in coal supply post-monsoons. Coal production was at 1.51 million tons per day during the first 18 days of October 2021, against an average production of 1.36 million tons per day recorded in the entire month of September. Going ahead, we expect CIL's production to pick up. This has been the case in the preceding years as well. As the second chart reveals, nearly 60% of the production is achieved in the second half of the fiscal. Moving on to the last slide of this presentation, the first chart clearly shows a declining trend in coal dispatch by CIL to the non-power sector, whereas the second chart shows an abrupt rise in coal prices, which led to slack procurement. Prioritization to power plants has left the non-power sector industries struggling to procure domestic coal. In a recent development, CIL has temporarily suspended coal auctions to the non-power sector. Even supplies via the FSA route has been regulated. As shown in the graph, rising seaborne coal prices have made imports unviable. That was it for the presentation. Thank you. Now we will proceed with the Q&A round. So, sir, my first question to you is, can you provide an estimate of how long will the ongoing coal shortage for the power sector last? And are we likely to see any major power outages across the country?
Overall, if we see the fundamentals in terms of the demand and supply for the power sector, you will note that November and December has been the low demand month seasonally because agricultural demand comes off. And from the supply front of view, CIL production in this quarter has been much better than the previous monsoon quarter. So we see even close to 20% higher production in this quarter. So reasonably, if we estimate, we can feel that the bottom point in terms of the stock level has already passed. And slowly we should see the improvement in the overall plant stocks. If you see the recent government advisories and government updates which has come, that also suggests that overall coal supply has already superseded the coal consumption on day-to-day basis. On a per day basis, if we say, then close to 2 million tons coal is getting dispatched and it is being done in a consistent manner. And given that post-monsoon now, once the supply gets boosted more, we should be able to see that especially after the Deepavali, we should see a good amount of inventory building up, which would take place overall. In terms of the overall, the crisis situation, which we have seen, and it has taken a good amount of coverage on a pan-India basis. We also noticed that the ministry has been monitoring the situation very closely. Recently, we have seen many implementations of the decision points which has been brought in to rationalize and prioritize the supplies. And yes, non-power sector has been one of the affected party where the major supplies were diverted to the power sector. But overall, the decisiveness of the current government, we could see that overall India has already surpassed that bottom point, and slowly the situation should become better and better. There has been some concerns which is taking place in terms of the peak hour planning. Recently, we have seen that DISCOMs have been adequately preparing for that. And barring some exceptions of power outages, overall, we have seen that India has coped up very well in terms of this crisis.
Right, sir. So can you also provide an estimated share of industrial versus the residential sector in the power consumption?
Broadly, in terms of the sector-wise, close to 30% consumption comes from the domestic, around 20% from the agricultural, and industrial demand is around 28 to 30%. Then we have a commercial demands and other demands which completes the pie. I would add one point here, Rohan, is that one concern which is being raised that because it is a post-COVID recovery and if the industrial demand is very, very high, then how India is going to respond. See, the matter remains is because industrial consumption is just limited to 20 or 30% of the overall power consumption. So even if there is a boost in terms of the industrial sector, we should be fairly, we can estimate that India would be able to cover very
well. My next question to you, sir, is that we understand there is no immediate provision for state DISCOMs to pass on the increased coal prices by hiking tariffs. So how does this impact the power plant's operations?
See, overall, in terms of the impact of these price surge, at least personally, I have the opinion that it is going to impact the overall value chain, an entire value chain, not just the end consumer or the suppliers. India has many kinds of power purchase agreements, and those power plants that have non-pass-through PPAs will face the direct impact in terms of the power producers. Many discoms are today not in a position to pass the entire price surge to their end consumer. So health of discoms would be also getting impacted due to this. Couple of other challenges which will come is in terms of the cash flow. We have been seeing that the power sector has been facing the severe cash flow crunch in terms of the high receivables. So the question is that this price rise will lead to a very high cash flow stagnation, and this might impact the overall health of the sector. The bottom point in a long run remains is that as India has just started energy transition in terms of more and more cleaner fuel, these kind of situation when comes in terms of the price surge, it surely impacts the overall energy transition which takes place.
Right, sir. So also due to the soaring imported coal prices, which have increased by about 170% since the start of calendar year 2021, plants which are based, primarily on which you utilize primarily imported coal have faced an uphill task. Can these plants use blending as an alternative? If so, what would be a desirable mix given the current prices?
See, on an overall basis, if you see the prices surge in terms of the electricity prices and overall stock level situation, which got depleted so fast. One of the key reasons was that import-based plants were not able to replenish their stock due to this price surge. Of course, blending remains an option, but see, any import-based plants always evaluate domestic coal as well as imported coal and try to play in terms of their competitiveness. And they always look for a blended options, which allows them to get the best value from the sourcing. But the challenge remains is that currently the way overall energy basket has prices have increased, irrespective of what type of fuel we talk or grade and origin. So the avenues of cost and optimization, that will be quite fewer. So the challenge remains is that in terms of the near-term volatility scenario, when we see, of course, blending or any other optimization measures would always help to reduce this impact. But avoiding this impact may not be possible at this stage. So overall, we need to see how the industry shapes up to take care of these price surges, and we have to be watchful for that.
So just a follow-up question to that, since there are plants that are designed to run on imported coal, what are the challenges that they can face while operating the plant if they go for completely sourcing domestic coal? Is that also a possibility?
Technically, yes, there is a possibility, but depending on how the technical specifications and boiler envelope on which these plants have been designed will determine the overall effectiveness of this choice. See, imported coal is usually of higher CV. People tend to get the higher CV coal, whereas in India, the plenty of domestic coal falls under lower CV grade. So the biggest challenge will come in terms of the lower CV related, where the mill capacity of the plant, fan capacity, all these things might be exhausted if some of the plants try to stretch to use completely domestic coal. As Indian coal is having a high ash percentage, so there has to be a proper disposal mechanism for the high ash as well. So that could be one of the challenge which imported based plant may not be used to. So these are a couple of technical challenges. And in terms of the overall, if we see on a pan-India level basis, then if these plants all are moving towards the domestic coal, then we need to see how the overall logistics, internal logistics is able to cope up with that. We have recently seen that there is a lot more and more frequency on logistics is also taking place. So if a good pie of these movements can be covered through sea logistics, then it will reduce the burden of the inland logistics. So yes, there is a technical challenges, there are operational challenges, and logistics challenges are of course there.
So do I take it that, there's no threat to imports? Imports would continue happening, right? Despite all government efforts to reduce imports,
No,
at least for non-coal.
I would say that it would impact the overall coal import. But if we say that it is going to completely eliminate the coal import for power generation, there I have some apprehensions. But of course, we have seen from the time India is going towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, we have seen a good amount of imported coal has been replaced by the domestic coal. And on year basis, we have seen, especially for power generation, we have seen a good amount of imported coal getting replaced by the domestic coal. So partially, yes, that it would have impact, but I don't think it is going to eliminate it.
Right. Okay, so what is the reason behind subdued PLF of 58% from the coal-fired plants during the period April to September 2021, despite there was clearly a healthy rise in electricity demand seen this year post relaxation of lockdown restriction?
See, overall, when we calculate the PLF on a pan-India level basis, and we say that yes, it is just 58 or 60%. See, the basic thing is that these PLFs are being calculated against the overall installed thermal capacities. Some of them are not even available to run today. And there is multiple issues, like a lot of plants are under long outages. We have many NCLT issues, working capital cases. There are many litigations going on in terms of the receivables with DISCOMs. Apart from that, there are multiple technical challenges that some plants are old, and many other plants are quite low ranked when we talk about the merit order dispatch. So when there is a sudden spike in terms of the overall power demand, it's quite possible that many plants would not be able to respond in an immediate manner, because many of them are under long outages. So overall, all the plants, as it is not available on 100% availability, that makes the challenge. In terms of the overall thermal side, if we say, then even gas plants, which is due to the high gas cost, is not able to operate. So these are quite obvious reasons which keeps the India's overall PLF as subdued to 58 to 60% only.
Right, sir. My next question to you, sir, is that there's a deficit in power supply that has come down to significantly low levels. But why is India still facing a shortfall despite having an enormous fleet of 388 gigawatts of power generating units?
See, out of 388 megawatt, if we see the breakup, thermal constitutes about 60% of it, which is around 230 to 34 gigawatt, and coal is close to 200 gigawatt. Remaining 40%, which we see, comes from the renewable and hydel sources. And the supply from those sources has been quite intermittent, cyclical, and seasonal. As these parts are not available on 24/7 basis, so we see that especially during the peak hours, India has faced the issues where prices has gone up. Say, for example, if we take the reference of IEX prices, we see, okay, during peak hours, prices has gone up and their supply is not able to cope up. But the challenge remains is that only 60% of the sources provides the sustainable supply. and remaining 40%, even though it is the optimum cost of supply, but remains cyclical in nature. So that has been one of the challenges. Overall, once the new solutions, technological solutions comes in terms of the, say, for example, multi-day storage systems and other things, then we would see that overall profiling, power profiling would start changing it. So one side, yes, renewable has been able to take a good pie of the overall power generation and able to provide more sustainable solutions. But then in terms of the security of supply, it still requires some more technological advancement to provide consistent supply across the day.
Right, sir. So I will be coming back to this topic again after a couple of questions.
Sure.
Before, why is there a lack of interest in investment in power plants? As we've seen, commissioning of new power plants has slowed down in recent years.
Environmental concerns has been one of the key for everyone. We know that COP26 is getting planned next month in November in Glasgow. So not only India, even entire world have laid out a quite bold vision to transition to a more cleaner source of energy. If we talk about India perspective, as India relies heavily in terms of the coal-based generation and continue to have a quite strong plans going forward to have a more cleaner energy. There has been one attempt where cleaner thermal energy is also required to be comes out as an option for us. I would like to highlight here one point is that could be we need more regulatory clarity to enable financing of these kind of investments. When we say about cleaner thermal energy, it might require more clarity in terms of that how these investments will be taken care of. And this will help to unlock several thousand crores of investment which have been made across the country. And NPAs can be avoided through that. So some regulatory clarity is essential in my view in terms of the cleaner energy.
On the same line, sir, can you enlist some measures to safeguard the private power producers while also informing us about the modifications required in the existing power tariff system or in the power purchase agreement as a whole?
One of the key point which I'd like to highlight here is the robust coordination between central off-takers and state governments. What is happening is that in terms of the payment security mechanism, we find that it has not been working very well. DISCOMs has not been paying their dues on time because DISCOMs itself facing a lot of financial issues. All these things is required to be streamlined. The challenge happens is that all these players, when they start facing the cash flows issues in terms of the higher receivables, then overall system starts shaking. And another challenge we find is that because in India we use many kinds of PPA terms. On some terms, it works on a pass-through method, some are non-pass-through. So when a fuel price risk is getting left on top on the shoulder of the power producer, then we find that becomes quite unreasonable. We need to treat the power producers as a simply energy converter without using them as a leg which takes the risk in terms of the fuel supplies or which takes the risk of the receivables. Once that gets addressed, then I think it will foster more and more growth in terms of the overall sector. There is many challenges in terms of the domestic coal supplies where we see that there is a good room for more efficiency and better efficiency. We have seen that many projects had been undertaken by the government, but I think India needs to respond in a much faster manner. And those are the areas which we feel requires immediate attention. So just a couple of points. One is the PPA terms about fuel price risk, domestic coal supplies, which we are talking about, a good coordination between the center and states, and timely payment of the dues. So these are a couple of pointers. And these measures are sufficient to, I think, or should be able to address the concerns of the private power producers. We have seen that India has not been investing in terms of much, and capacity additions is quite less, and especially in terms of the thermal aspects. So these measures becomes essential.
And also, so will the prevailing coal shortage, offset the robust growth of 12% seen in power generation during April to September 2021? And also, if you can tell us what will be the projection for power generation from conventional sources in FY 2022, and the share of coal in?
The overall basis, I don't think that these coal shortages is going to impact the growth as such. The reason is that the contribution of industrial consumption has been quite less compared to China or any other in industry-driven countries. And I think we need to see whether these factors which we are talking, like coal shortage, whether it is a transient factor or more structural in nature. In my view, that it remain just a transient. In terms of that, one side we saw that coal prices has gone up significantly. Other side, productions were impacted due to monsoons. But going forward, as we expect that demand would drop actually during the month of November and December, conventionally that has been. So I think in terms of the impacting the overall growth should not hamper it directly, but in the indirect manner, yes, because a lot of volume from the non-power is being today considered for power side. So this might lead to some inflation in terms of the non-power sector, which may be importing the coal to meet their coal demand. Overall, for FY22, we expect that it should be close to 1,000 BU, and of course, around 80% we see from the coming out, 75 to 80% coming out from the coal itself. Like even currently around it is 1,000 BU out of close to 1,200 BUs overall generation. So I think this proportion and the trend should continue.
Right. So you see dependence on coal increasing in the years to come, at least in the next 2-3 years?
I would put it this way, that coal would continue to be a main source of our generation in a very, very recent years. And it would take time, not just for India, overall, and even for China, I have this similar view. Because the energy transition which we are talking about would take some time, because overall, globally, more sustainable supply in terms of the renewable energy is still yet to come. And we have seen in even this year there has been wind droughts in some parts of US, and Europe has also faced less winds, and which is being said to be one of the reason why today there is so strong demand of gas. So in my view, the coal-fired plants would continue to provide the base load till that time, and especially it is important even for the grid stabilization perspective. So yes, coal is here to stay, and slowly the renewable and other sectors will start taking these spikes and slowly will chip in.
So the Power Ministry has also recently initiated formulation of a framework policy for energy storage, which is likely to provide flexibility in the power sector. But will the initiative adversely impact coal-fired plants, given the higher infusion of renewable energy going ahead?
Recently, we have seen even some policy measures to promote the bundle power. We have seen that bundling it with solar, with other renewable energy projects under the tariff-based bidding system. And why I take the reference of this is that policymakers is of course looking at a vital component from the grid stabilization perspective, which I was mentioning. It is important. We have seen a country got out of grid during this shortage. So it is important to provide a sustainable supply, which I have been mentioning right from the beginning of this discussion. Volatility will remain a key challenge, but we need to see that how the other technological advancement takes place is today the renewable sector is able to provide the cheapest source of energy. But if we say whether does it remain the most reliable source of energy today, then that remains a point of debate. So could be slowly once the storage system, energy storage system comes, which can take care of multi-day storage, then that will help in the near future. And so my view is that given that India is still per capita consumption is quite low compared to many developed countries. So India would continue to use the all forms of energy in a judicious manner, and could be how it would be that coal will continue to provide the base load in the near future. And the way our energy system undergoes to the green transition, we would see that intermittent nature of RE would be also taken care of through that. So that makes a more balanced approach as a nation. Yes, it is good to go green as quickly as possible, but the matter remains at what cost. The growth for this country is very, very important. It is very essential that each and every person have access to a good amount of power, which is required for their living, and per capita consumption, which has been extremely low. So all those things also requires good addressal.
Right, sir. So before we wrap this session up, I'd like to take a couple of questions from the audience. So there's this one question. What are the support from the government to overcome power issues? We understand from the news channels, other sources, and other sources that India also may be hit by a power issue like China. Is it correct?
If
compare it with
slightly voice is breaking, Rohan, but what I could understand is that we are looking for a when we draw parallel with China, see, the power consumption in China is heavily dependent on their industrial consumptions, whereas in India, it is fragmented to residential, industrial, and commercial consumption and agricultural. So given that, will we face the similar situation which China has faced? I would say probably not. The key reason is that China requires a lot of energy for heating. India does not need that. In India, over the years, if you see, the cooling demand has gone up, but heating demand has not gone up. So when we say about winter in India, say more than half of the part of the India still remains where heating may not be required at all, except some part of North India. And I I would put it this way, that India has not been into a habit of using heaters so much. Usually, even say common people like to simply pull the blanket, not the heater. So the lifestyle as well as the consumption which we see in India is completely different what China or say Europe or Russia would have. So in terms of that, my view is that the power shortage which we have been seeing is quite transient, and India have dealt it very well, given that the now slowly production is ramping up, demand has softened out. We see after Dussehra, even the exchange prices have come down substantially. So I don't think it would be good to compare India and China in terms of the power crisis. I think India has handled it much better than other countries.
Right. So due to paucity of time, this is the last question that we're going to take from the audience. This question comes to you from Elara Capital. And the question is, Indonesian coal prices have increased from $40 to $180 US. What is the increase in cost of power production?
Could be I would not be in a position to provide the direct number in terms of that, because it will vary on a plant-to-plant basis, because their logistics cost would be different, inland logistics would be different. But the FOB coal prices, if we see, it has been close to 40 to 50%, it has been contributing. Other parties that which is we ignore is in terms of the freight. Freight has also gone up substantially high. If you see the last year freight and this year freight, Indonesian freight has freight actually globally it has gone up as well. So coal prices has gone up, freight has gone up. Inland logistics side, yes, India has been trying to maintain almost the similar levels of this thing. There has not much changes in terms of the duties or taxation in terms of the overall. So in terms of the direct cost, at least 40%, I would say ballpark number has been impacted by this price surge.
Right. At this point, I'll have to announce that we've almost run out of time, stipulated time, and I would like to thank SEMB for giving us this opportunity to interact with Captain Pawan Kumar and gain his valuable insights. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Tata Steel, NMDC, Runta Steel. And at the same time, I'd also like to thank the Indian Steel Association and Steel Users Federation of India for their valuable support.